Okay, here's an overview of our 5-1 offense here. You'll notice this is the positions that we started out in last night. Doesn't really matter what rotation we start in per se. I think um, this one just works best for us for now. You'll notice that I put in matching colors each person and their mirror or their opposite. So Brian's setter is in green, and his opposite is Charlotte. Um, who we call it weak side. Some people would call it weak side. Some call it opposite, which is confusing. Some call it right side. Some call it offsetter. They all mean the same thing. Then we have our two middles who are in black. We have Matt and Jeremy. And then we have our two outsides, so outside hitters, we call it, Ashley and Julian. So they're in blue. So the position is the same. You're going to play the same exact position as your mirror person. Just whoever's in the front will play the front row portion. Whoever's in the back will play the back row portion. Ideally, what we want is we always want after the play has started, where everybody wants to be, the green, the setter, and the weak side always want to be on the right side of the court. The middles always want to be in the middle, and the outside hitters always want to be on the left side of the court, no matter what. The only reason we don't start out that way always is because the rules dictate that you have to have what we call an alignment, and you can't actually start out where you want to be. So, but whenever we're serving, this is going to be something that's really, really easy to do because everyone kind of just stacks up right next to each other. So if we show Charlotte and Julian here, this is where they started. If we're serving, we have plenty of time to get over there. So everyone just kind of stacks up right next to each other, right? And then once we serve the ball over, we have plenty of time for Julian to just take a few steps this way. Jeremy is already in the middle, and Charlotte just a few steps over here. So there's really not much effort there. And you can see the front row is actually already arranged properly. We already have Brian where he's supposed to be in the front right, Matt in the middle, and Ashley on the left outside. Okay. The only time where we can't easily get to where we want, and that's why we say hold for one or stay for one, is when the other team is serving, and sometimes we don't have enough time to get to our position until the ball goes back over the net. So if the other team is serving here, everyone is going to, and also I should point out, I can get into this more later, but I think Charlotte may have been the only one doing it correctly in the back row, and everyone else was not, perhaps, when I'm in the front row. And I think that may have been what was confusing her, is that traditionally we have not had, except when I'm in the back row, we have not had the back row actually rotate, actually run to their positions after the ball is served. So Charlotte may have been trying to do that, and the other ones weren't, and that was causing problems. Everyone has to be on the same page. Either everyone goes to their positions in the back or nobody does. Charlotte was saying we should make it so that nobody does. I think it's better to make it so that everyone always does, and we'll see why in a minute. Okay, so let's say when the other team is serving, we don't have time for everyone to get to their positions. The ball, to get to their positions before the first serve. So everyone stays where they are. The ball comes back over, right? Now we hit the ball back over the net. Now everyone runs to their positions. So the front line is already where they want to be. All the setters always on the right side, middle, and Ashley on the outside. Now, we said the blue, the outside hitters always want to run to the outside, to the left side, right? And the weak side or setter always wants to be on the right side. And the middles always want to stay in the middle. So that's the only thing that needs to change when the ball goes over the net. So yes, that's a little bit of running, Charlotte, but it's really not that much, and there's reasons why it's good that we rotate and we keep it consistent. Okay, so now let's see if we win the ball back and we have so we rotate and we have the serve. So everyone kind of moves here over. Everyone rotates one. Okay, and Brian is serving. Okay, so Brian serves, and then what happens here is we have Jeremy the middle and Julian the outside. They're going to stack right here so that they minimize their running once I serve the ball, because Julian wants to be on the outside, as the outside hitter. Always wants to be on the left side. Jeremy always wants to be on the middle. And what we're going to have here is a stack in the middle, just so we minimize the running distance. Once Brian serves the ball over the net, Very easy for Julian, just take a few steps to his left, he's in position. Jeremy into the middle, he's in position, just a few steps, and Brian just goes right here, he's in position. For the front row, now again, Charlotte always wants to be on the weak side, she's always going to be on the front right. Matt's always wants to be in the middle, so he really barely has to move, and Ashley always wants to be on the outside, so she goes to the front left. Okay. Charlotte and me know that for certain reasons we have Charlotte always runs to the back when she's in the front row, and I run to the front just because she's not going to block anyway. She's not tall enough to block, so it just makes sense for me to just start to go up there. But nobody else needs to know about that as long as Charlotte and I know. Okay. Now, if we go to we've lost the point and the other team is serving, let me go back to where I was. So I know I started here. Charlotte was here. We had the outsides here. No, Matt started here. And we had this. I believe this would have been what the rotation was. Okay, so now they're serving. So what I'm going to do now is I want to be ready. I want to be ready to get the set. So I'm going to go inch up right behind Matt. And it's important now that Julian and Jeremy, you guys already do this, kind of split the back row on the serve because there's only two of you back there. Now as the ball comes over the net, everyone has to hold for one. So everyone has to stay in their spot. Ashley, even though she wants to always be on the outside, the left side, she doesn't have enough time to get over there before the serve. Same thing with Charlotte, always wants to be on the right side, doesn't have enough time, and Matt doesn't have enough time in the middle. So now as the ball comes over, Brian runs up, and we have a pass to Brian. Sets it, and let's say the ball goes back over the net. Now once the ball goes over the net, everyone now runs to their positions where they want to be. We call it, their positions, their arrangement is the term that I learned growing up. So Brian is actually a back row player. He goes back here. Charlotte always wants to go to the right side, right? So she always wants to the green, always to the weak side, the right side. Ashley always wants to go to the left side, no matter what, the outside hitter. Matt always wants to go to the middle, no matter what. The middle hitters. Julian, as the outside hitter, always wants to go to the left side. Jeremy always wants to go to the middle. So it's the same process where no matter what, we always want to be in this arrangement where the outsides are always on the left side of the court, the middles are always in the middle, the weak side and center are always on the right side. There's only that one time when the other side is serving that we're sometimes not in that right arrangement already, and we have to just hold for one. But after that, or when we're serving, we always want to get to right where we want to be. Everyone knows that they're always on that same side of the court, either the left side, the middle, or the right side, no matter what. Okay, so let's see, just now we can do another rotation here. So let me go back to where we were, where we had Brian here, and then Charlotte was starting here. This is where before we won the serve. Now we have won the serve, we get the serve back, so now we're going to rotate. So Matt's going to go here, Brian's going to go there, Okay, so now we've won the serve, so now Matt's serving. Now Brian can actually start right here. If Matt's off the court, I can start the setter. He doesn't count as someone you can't overlap with. So I can actually start in my own spot, where in my arrangement where I actually want to be. But we can see that Ashley's going to want to always go to the outside, right? Jeremy always is going to want to go to the middle, and Charlotte wants to go to the weak side. So everyone here just stacks in the middle, right? And this way they minimize how much distance they have to go once the ball is served. Julian, we can see, is actually already in the spot he wants to be, in the back left. So he doesn't have to go anywhere. So now the ball is served over the net. Plenty of time for Ashley to just take a few steps to the outside. Charlotte to the front right, to the weak side. Jeremy is kind of already there in the front middle. And then Matt will just go to his spot in the back middle. Okay. Now we have the ball back. We serve it. Now let's say we've lost the ball, and the other team is about to serve. So we have this where Brian is here. Our starting spots. Charlotte was here, and Ashley was here. Okay, so now they're serving. So Brian is going to inch up right behind Charlotte, so we can get to the net easily on the serve. And we can see everyone has to hold for one, even though we're not in the spots where we want to be. Matt and Julian, since there's only two in the back row, just for the serve portion, are going to have to pinch in and both cover the back. As the serve comes over the net, Brian runs up to set. We set the ball. Everyone is held for one. We hit the ball back over the net. Now everyone again can go to their positions. Brian is a back row player, goes to the right side. Charlotte always wants to go to the right side as the green as the weak side hitter. Ashley always wants to go to the left side, the outside hitter. Jeremy always wants to go to the middle. Matt always wants to go to the middle. Julian as the outside always wants to go to the outside. So we're good on that. Same thing now. It's getting repetitive here. Brian serving. No, let's say we won the serve back again. I'm trying to remember who was where. I think Brian was. Whoa, hang on a sec. I'm just trying to remember where we started with. Shoot. Let's do this. Okay. Before we rotated, we had this, and Julian and Brian was here. Charlotte. This is before we just rotated. And then Jeremy was here. Okay, so we've done this, but now we win the ball back, and now we serve, so now we rotate. So Ashley's going to come back to serve. Matt has to go over here. Brian goes over here, our rotation. Julian goes here. Jeremy has to go here. Charlotte goes here. Okay. Okay, so now we can see Ashley's going to serve. Now notice, again, the front row is already in their correct arrangements. They're not going to have to move after the serve. Everyone's where they want to be already. That's always going to happen every 3 rotations. You're going to be twice in a 6 rotation. Each person is going to be exactly where they need to be, and they won't need to move at all. Okay, so now Ashley's going to serve. The front row is where they need to be. Brian just needs to rotate to arrange to move over to his position here. Ashley as the outside hitter just needs to go here. Matt's already where he needs to be. Something else I should point out, if anyone's curious, you don't actually need to serve from the back right. You can serve from anywhere along the back line where you want to. The rule used to be a long time ago that you had to, but you can serve from anywhere. So if Ashley wants to, since she's an outside hitter, she knows she's going to have to go to the right, to this side after she serves anyway. If she wants, she could just serve from here. And then that way, once she serves, she just steps in and she's already right there if she wants to. But anyway, so she served, and now we're in this correct spot like this. Everyone's already where they need to be. Okay, back to the same thing. Let's say we've lost the ball. They're going to serve. The other team's going to serve. Now, again, we don't have enough room yet. We don't have enough time to get to where we want to before the serve. But notice the front row is actually already where they need to be, which is great. Back row is not necessarily. So we'll do the same thing here, where Brian's going to want to be able to get to the serve. So he's going to inch up before the serve so we can run into position. Matt and Ashley are going to kind of split the back just on the serve. Ball comes over the net. Brian runs into position as the setter. We hit the ball back over the net. Now, Ashley, now the ball's back over the net. Now Ashley can go to her actual position in the back left, outside hitter, where she wants to be. Matt always wants to stay in the middle. Brian's still a back row player, goes back to where he is. The front row is already aligned the way they want to be. Okay. I think let's do one more. Let's do another rotation. Let's say we win the ball back, because you can see this is getting repetitive. We win the ball back, so we all rotate. Charlotte comes back to serve. Ashley here. Matt here, Brian up to the front row, Now here we've rotated. Okay. Okay. Front row is not where it wants to be exactly, so we're going to stack it up. We have plenty of time to stack before the serve. Same thing with Matt and Ashley, plenty of time to stack. So they're going to stack it. Charlotte's going to serve the ball over the net. Ashley just takes a few steps to the outside. Matt goes to the middle. Charlotte, weak side, just steps up right here. Same thing with the front row. Once it goes over the net, Jeremy to the middle, Brian over to the front right to set, Julian to the outside. And again, we're in that arrangement where we want to be. The setters, the weak side's always on the right, middles always want to be in the middle, outsides always want to be on the left side. Okay, same thing now. Let's suppose we lost the serve. They get the ball back. Let's go to where we were. We have Matt here, Ashley, Jeremy was there, Julian was outside. Okay, so now they're serving. We're not. The back row is no, actually nobody is in the right spot. So let's say they serve. Brian's going to start up at the net so that he can run over to serve a little bit. We're going to pinch here. Matt will probably pinch up a little bit to cover this. Everyone kind of shifts over a little bit. Not so important. Now they serve the ball over the net. Brian's going to run to his spot. Everyone's going to hold for one, we would say. So Julian will hit out of the middle on the first shot. And Jeremy will hit out of the weak side or back side on the first shot. Ball goes over the net. everyone runs to their positions, just like always. Brian goes to the right where he wants to be. Jeremy wants to always go to the middle. Julian always wants to go to the outside left side. Matt wants to go to the back middle. Ashley always wants to go to the outside. And Charlotte wants to go to the weak side. Same thing. Okay, and now we win the serve back. Last rotation, you can see it's getting repetitive. So Brian, last rotation. Let's go back to before we rotated. Brian was here, Charlotte was there. Matt was right behind Brian before we rotate. We have this, Julian outside. Okay, now we've got the ball back. Now we rotate. Jeremy comes back to serve. Charlotte over. Ashley over. Matt. Everyone rotates before the serve. Okay. Okay. Plenty of time now for everyone to stack up before the serve because the front row is not where they want to be. Back row, Charlotte, if she wants, since Jeremy's off the court, Charlotte can even start here if she wants to. It doesn't matter. There's no rule about not overlapping with somebody who's off the court. So once the ball goes over the net, plenty of time. Brian runs to his spot, front right. Julian, outside, always wants to be on the left side. Matt always wants to be in the middle hitters. Ashley already started where she wants to be. Jeremy can now just run up to the middle here, and we're good to go. Okay, last thing is if they would have the serve. So Brian had started here, and Charlotte starts here. Matt was, I think Matt actually followed Brian. And then Jeremy was back here. Okay. Okay, now they're serving. So Brian's going to start up at the net. On the first ball, we say hold for one. Julian will start hitting on the backside, the weak side, just for the first one. Matt will hit on the outside just for the first one. Ball comes over the net. Same thing. Brian's going to set to one of them. Ball goes, everyone holds for one. Ball goes back over the net. Now everyone runs to their positions. Brian wants to be in the front right as the setter. Julian always wants to be outside, always left side. Matt always wants to be middle, always in the middle. Okay, now the back row can also go to their positions. Jeremy always wants to be in the middle. Charlotte always wants to be on the right side, weak side. Ashley always wants to be on the outside. And that's pretty much it. You can see to know where you have to be before the play starts in terms of where you are in the rotation. You can always check because you're always going to be opposite your mirror person or your opposite person. So what I mean by that is if Brian was just let's just put it here. I always know that Jeremy here. I always know that as the middle, Brian, I always know that Charlotte, the green, is my opposite. So wherever she is, I know where I need to be, assuming she's in the right spot. Same thing here. Matt's mirror is always 3 spots away from him over here, and Julian's middle is always 3 spots away from him over here. The way this works is that the reason why it's effective for real volleyball is that you always have in the front row a setter, a weak side hitter or a setter, an outside hitter, and a middle hitter. And then in the back row, you always have a middle, a weak, and an outside hitter. So you always have at any given time one outside, one setter, and one middle in the front row, and the same thing in the back row. And it keeps everything consistent. I think that's probably all we needed for now. When and if we ever have 7 people or 8 people, it's going to mess all of this up if we have to actually rotate in one at a time, but we'll cross that bridge when we get to it. That's pretty much it. You can let me know if you have any questions. Oh, just to answer one of Charlotte's questions, and everyone can stop listening now if you want, if you don't want to be confused. This is all, the learning portion is over. To answer Charlotte's question about why we rotate in the back when we don't need to, it's true that Charlotte is not really playing the offsetter. So she doesn't when Brian's in the front row, Charlotte doesn't really need to be on the right side of the court. She could just, everyone at the back could just stay where they are and not go to positions in the back row. And in fact, that's what a lot of people do, I think. A lot of us have been doing. The problem is this creates an inconsistency where if people are trying to learn this system and learn their positions, they're going to be a little bit confused when sometimes in the back row they're going to their positions after the serve and sometimes they're just staying where they are. That's kind of annoying and confusing when you're trying to learn the system and there doesn't seem to be a rhyme or reason why. So, for example, if we did Charlotte's method where the back row just stays where they are after the serve, so we could say that we serve the ball. And the back row stays, right? Now Brian is going to go over here, and Julian goes here, Matt goes to the middle, but the back row stays. And so Jeremy says, okay, no matter what, or I'm staying where I am in the back right? Okay, that's fine. But now, if Jeremy middle. Now, let's suppose that Brian's in the back row. So let's just do, if it were, we have Charlotte. Let's say the next game we were to start with Charlotte in the front and Brian in the back in the same spot. Or the same thing would actually happen to say Matt or Jeremy. I'm just being lazy here and just flipping it just to show you what it would look like. So now Brian's in the back row. Now that means that we are going to positions. So Jeremy, where he's used to just saying, oh, well, I'm going to stay where I am. Oh, but now Brian's in the back row. Brian needs to be in the back right. So now I need to actually go to my position. Right? So depending on whether Brian's back there or Charlotte's back there, Jeremy is going to have to say, do I stay where I am, or am I playing real volleyball and going into a position? So it can be easier if everyone's always on the same page, and everyone always knows they're always going to their position no matter what. And this can be effective because we might not always have the exact same lineup and the exact same people in the same spots. So in that case, we don't have to worry about people figuring out and memorizing when they go over or when they stay where they are. If we have a random person who plays with us next week who wasn't here this week, they're going to want to just fit right into the system and know where they have to go no matter what. So anywho, that wasn't the best explanation at the end that I gave there, but Charlotte, if you have more questions, please let me know. Anyway, that's pretty much it for now. Let me know if you have any more questions, and great game again last night. Okay.